Today we will look into the topic of proportions. A proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equivalent. So we will have two ratios, A over B, and let's say the other part is 2 over 5. If two ratios are equal, then together they create a proportion. We're going to use something called cross product to solve proportions. Cross product is the product of the numerator of one ratio and the denominator of the other ratio. If I multiply numerator of one to a denominator of the other one, it will be a cross product of A to 5 and B to 2. So my cross product for this proportion would be A times 5 is equal to B times 2. Because the multiplication has commutative property, you could also write 5 times A equals 2 times B. We have two types of proportion problems. One is going to be basic. The other one is distributive. We have a couple of steps that we're going to follow. Our first step is we're going to find the product with cross multiplication, and then we are going to simplify, and we will solve for the unknown variable by using inverse order of operations. Last step, we can do a check to see if our answer was correct. Here's our first example. We are going to do a cross product. Then we will have 2 times x is equal to 3 times 4. We can multiply. 2x is equal to 12. In order to solve this equation, I will divide each side by 2 because it's been multiplied before. These will cancel to be 1. 1 times x is still 1. And 1 times x is still x. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now we can do a little check step to see if our answer was correct. 2 over 3, is it equal to 4 over 6? I placed my value into the original proportion. After we place it, we can check to see if it's going to be equal. 4 over 6 is a fraction that can simplify by 2. If I simplified one step here, 2 over 3 will be, yes, equal to 2 over 3. So both sides of the equal sign are equivalent to each other. That indicates our answer, x is equal to 6, was a correct answer. Now here's an example for you to try. 3 over 4 is equal to n over 12. Do your cross multiplication, multiply, then solve for x. Don't forget to check. Let's look at our next example. Sometimes x's and variables are not alone. They could be multiplied with another number or variable. We're going to continue our process the same way. We will do a cross multiplication. 2x times 5 is equal to 13 times 4. This is going to be 10x is equal to 52. Then if I divide each side by 10, x is equal to 52 over 10. I can simplify this further by 2. I can write 26 over 5 as my final simplified answer. I can of course do my check step to confirm my result as well. Here's your next few try. 3x divided by 27 is equal to 2 divided by negative 3. Do your cross product, solve for x. Don't forget to check your work. Here's your next few try. 12 over 4w is equal to 42 over 56. Do your cross product, isolate the variable, solve for w, and don't forget to do a check step. Let's look at another type of example where we actually solve a distributive property. Now, as you can notice, there is a variable on the numerator and denominator, so variable exists in more than one section. So what we are going to do is that as soon as I see addition or subtraction on the numerator or denominator, I'm going to put a parenthesis around, because numerator and denominators are kind of grouped among each other. So we will have to do everything on numerator first, and then the denominator, and then the division comes in. Now we are going to continue our process after putting the parenthesis by doing a cross multiplication. N times 5 is equal to 9 times n minus 12. It doesn't matter whether to write 9 times n minus 12 or n minus 12 times 9. I would like to put the number in front of the parenthesis so we can distribute easily. 5n is equal to 9n minus 108. We are distributing 9 to the inside of the parenthesis. Let's subtract 9n from each side. We will have negative 4n is equal to negative 108. I want to leave the n alone, so I can divide each side by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. N will be equal to positive 27. I can do a check step by substituting this value back in the original equation. Here's your U-try. Our next example is a double distributive. We have to do the distributive property twice, but the process is pretty much the same. We are going to multiply numerator with the denominator of the other fraction and vice versa. Make sure to put parentheses around your numerator or denominator as soon as you see a positive or negative sign in between a subtraction or addition operation. I will write 18 times d minus 13 is equal to 6 times d plus 13. Now I can do my distributive property. Distribute. We will have 18d minus 18 times negative 13, that's 234, equals 6d plus 6 times 13 is going to be 78. Subtract 6d from each side. 12d minus 234 is equal to 78. Let's add 234 on each side. 12d will be equal to 312. If I divide each side by 12, d will be equal to 26. I can again check my answer by substituting 26 back into the original equation to see if one side of the fraction will be actually equal to the other side of the fraction. Here's your U-try. X minus 1 over 4 equals to 5x plus 4 over 24. Please do not forget to put your parentheses around the numerators here because they have more than one term. Let's do one last example of double distributive. I will put parentheses around my numerator and denominator because I see more than one term. Then I'll do my cross multiplication. 7 times x plus 1 is equal to 4 times 3x plus 6. If I distribute, we will get 7x plus 7 is equal to, distribute 4, 12x plus 24. Let's subtract 12x from each side. These are cancelled. I have negative 5x plus 7 is equal to 24. If I subtract 7 from each side, we will get negative 5x is equal to 17. I want to leave the x alone. Let's divide each side by negative 5. Divide by negative 5. We will have x is equal to negative 17 over 5. Sometimes answers can be fraction as well. Here's your last u try. H minus 1 over 3 is equal to 2h plus 1 over 9. Make sure to put your parentheses around the numerators that have multiple terms. Then do your distribution. Solve for h. Check your work. Please bring any questions you might have to next class.